All right, let's get started all. I know everyone's had their coffee so far, at least one or two cups, and we're ready to go. Thank you for joining us for Workshop Wednesdays. I am not Jen Slattery. I am Randy Rosser, the Executive Director here at the Rhode Island League of Cities and Towns. And I'm very glad to see everyone joining us today. I know it was a long commute for some, but we're here for a very important topic, some great funding opportunities for our members. So we're very lucky in the state of Rhode Island to have the congressional delegation that we do. And one of the main people that helped make that happen is our senior senator, Senator Reed. His leadership over the years has helped fund a plethora of projects throughout the state of Rhode Island for all of our cities and towns. And we can't thank him enough for all of his tireless efforts in DC and definitely even more during these uncertain times. Partnership as well is big with the governor. Governor McKee has been a true partner to the cities and towns as a former mayor himself, and a true champion for our cities and towns. And the two of them together are helping to bring this opportunity to the cities and towns. So we got a lot to learn today. I am not the expert in this area, but we'll all learn together. So I know Jen has a great video to kind of kick us off, and we'll keep rolling this morning and definitely open up opportunities for questions later. Jen, we're not hearing the senator. I like the closed caption, but we can't hear him.
No.
Sorry, I'll bear with us for 1 minute. Of course, there's no time but the right time for technical difficulties. And at least we have our cameras on. That's usually the first problem that goes on with Zoom meetings. But we will be back with this program shortly.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. I'd like to thank Randy and his team.
Is that good?
Island League of Cities and Towns for hosting this workshop Wednesday. I'd also like to thank Ray Ann Culp from the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency and Tom Giordano from the Partnership for Rhode Island for being here to discuss the theme is Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities, or the BRIC program. Since it was created during the first Trump administration, BRIC program has funded billions of dollars in critical mitigation projects across the country. Projects that harden shorelines, elevate critical equipment, and improve stormwater management. That's why each year I lead my colleagues in the Senate in supporting strong funding for BRIC. While no one can predict how the new administration will treat this program, I want to help Rhode Island communities be in a position to take advantage of it whenever there's an opportunity to apply. And that's what it's all about today. As you evaluate and apply for this program, reach out to my office. We want to support you, and we want to know about your experience with this program so we can make it work better for Rhode Island. Thank you for engaging in this effort, and best of luck for a productive meeting. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Rhode Island is a coastal state that truly experiences all four seasons. And our municipal leaders know all too well that a New England climate brings severe weather that impacts our local infrastructure. As governor and a former mayor, I'm committed to helping cities and towns increase resiliency and ensure we are prepared when a weather disaster strikes. The Building Resilient Infrastructure and Communities program is instrumental in helping us adapt to climate change, address chronic flooding, reduce damage costs within our communities, and upgrade our infrastructure. I'm so grateful for our partners at CompeteRI for helping the Rhode Island Emergency Management Agency and our local communities participate in this program. Thank you for all being a part of these important conversations. Together, we're building a more resilient Rhode Island today and for the generations to come. Rhode Island is a coastal.
Thank you, Senator Reed and Governor McKee. Unfortunately, weren't able to be live with us today, but we have a good amount of their staff and team on the call today. So like I said, it's all about the expertise that we have both at the federal level and at the state level to bring these types of projects to fruition. So as we go through the presentation, you know, we have all the tools in the toolbox right now with us on this call. So there is no question that is, you know, don't hold back. There's no question that's a bad question. It's just the ones that don't get asked. So at this time, I want to introduce Rayanne. Rayanne is from the Rhode Island Emergency Management Department, and I know her director is on the call as well, and many others from Rhode Island EMA. So they are a great resource, and I know they're probably getting ready for what potential weather might be coming our way as well. And we thank them for always being ready to go. I don't see Rayanne yet on my screen, but I'm assuming she is with us here.
Hi.
There we go. I
Okay.
knew we'd find you eventually. You know, it's too many screens up because that just shows that the number of people that are interested in what opportunities are out there. So I'd rather have that problem and find you eventually on the screen. So I hand it over to you, definitely our expert from our Rhode Island EMA.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Randy. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all. And I'm also having technical difficulties this morning. I should have headphones on, and I unfortunately they won't connect. So this is what we're doing today. So let me see. I'm not very familiar with Zoom, so let me see how to share my screen. Share. Okay. Confirmation. Can anybody see it?
Not yet.
Nope, not yet.
There we go. It's coming in right.
Okay. Is that it? All right. Thank you. And thank you everyone for joining me. Everyone has probably seen this presentation before, so I'm going to run through it quickly and then open it up for questions that you might have. So the Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities, or BRIC, as it's much easier to say, is, of course, my screen's not working. There we go. Okay. So this is the non-disaster grant that FEMA has available, and it supports the local communities, the states and the tribals, and the state agencies. So the nonprofits aren't available and residents aren't available for this. So some of the objectives is to focus on being proactive and not reactive. And this is what this grant does. It takes a percentage from the federal disasters and puts it into a fund. So we are able to apply and do projects that build resiliency. So what we are looking for, this is from the notice of funding this year. This is what's available. I want you to focus on the state allocation and also the building code plus up. This is $50 million made available to each state. So Rhode Island has $50 million allocated to apply for projects under the allocation. The building code plus up is also there to do things that will enhance our building codes and enforcement. So these are what is available and the type of projects that you could be applying for. Building code activity is what I mentioned. I also want to point out project scoping. This, in my opinion, is the best thing about this grant. It has the flexibility. If you know you have a problem, you kind of have an understanding of what the problem is, but you can't get to the solution. Say, you know, you have flooding everywhere in your community, but you don't know what the solution is. Applying for this BRIC grant for project scoping will allow you to apply to hire a consultant to do a study, come up with solutions. And from there, the next round of BRIC, you'd be able to apply for one of those solutions. And since you've already gone through the project scoping under BRIC, you're more likely that you will be awarded that project. So one of the changes from the last round of BRIC was the benefit cost analysis. This was a big stumbling block for a lot of communities because the benefit cost analysis of BCA didn't work. FEMA heard us, they recognized that, and not that a benefit cost analysis doesn't have to be done because we do need to show cost effectiveness, but FEMA is the one that will do this now, where we supply the information, they create the benefit cost analysis. So that's a huge difference, and it's making projects like generators go through the system very quickly now, which is it's been a game changer for everyone. So I'm happy to announce that. Another component is the BRIC technical assistance. This is for communities that struggle or don't have bandwidth to really put in applications. This is the community that can apply, and FEMA will help you create an application, or they will help you write your hazard mitigation project plan if that is what you apply for. There's different things that this BRIC technical assistance will allow you to do, which is great. So one thing that is pivotal for success for applying for these is having your hazard mitigation plan updated. This is a big deal. If you do not have a hazard mitigation plan or your plan is expired, you are unable to apply for these funds until your plan is updated. The great thing is right now, 50%, more than 50% of the state is eligible to apply for this round of BRIC. And this round of BRIC that we're applying for usually comes out in October. So I would say by October, the next round of BRIC, I would say more than 90% of the state will be eligible. So now is the time that you really should be looking at your hazard mitigation plans and seeing what activities you can do and start creating an application and working on formulating a great project for the next round of BRIC. If you are a community that doesn't have a current hazard mitigation plan in place. So this is a great time, or if you do have your plan approved, to apply now. BRIC I'm sorry, the $2 million that we and the 50, I'm sorry, I'm getting confused with my numbers. The money that we do have allocated should be going towards updating your hazard mitigation plans. So right now we have 5 communities that will be expiring in 2027, which is a good portion of time before a lot of the plans expire. So this is not you rushing to get your plans in place. This is you hiring a consultant, taking the time, doing the right steps to get a good stakeholder involvement, great public participation is what FEMA wants to see on these plans. So either you can apply now if your plan is in place, or you could get ready for an application when the next round of BRIC comes up. So the good news about the 5 communities that are expiring in 2027 is I've already reached out to them. 2 have already gone into the FEMA Go system to apply. I have another meeting after this meeting, and hopefully the other 2 communities will jump on too. So this is a great momentum for the state that we need to continue moving towards applying for BRIC funding to update your hazard mitigation plans. Applications are due on St. Patrick's Day. It's a great day. Everybody's going to remember this. So this is when the applications are due. This is the FEMA application is later in April, but this application on St. Patrick's Day will give REMA a lot of time to review your application, see if you're missing any components, see how we could help you strengthen your application, and then send them all off to FEMA as a group. So I know I went through everything quickly, but I touched on everything that is available, and I really love to open it up to specific questions that you have about the grant.
Hey, Rayanne, thanks so much for the presentation and about this important program. I think it's important to note that this is money that has gone undersubscribed, right, in past years. So can you just talk a little bit about that, about how this is really open and available, and we're hosting this because sometimes the cities and towns either don't know it's available or don't know how easy it is to apply for. So if you could just go into that quickly.
Absolutely. So as Tom mentioned, it is a lot of your municipalities are not applying for this. Tom reached out to me last year, and I know he's going to talk about this next, but he contacted me and said, "What's going on?" And I said, "They're not applying. No one is applying." So we talked about it, and he's like, "Well, what's the biggest need?" I'm like, flood studies. So we ended up contacting several communities. You know who you are, the ones that we see on TV, Channel 12. We contacted those communities, and we told them, apply for this money, and we'll help you write it. And Tom hooked me up with this great grant writer. He was amazing, and we were able to write 5 different grants or 5 different applications, and all of those were awarded. And so now 5 communities are doing flood studies, and from there, hopefully, next round of BRIC, if they have their reports back for the year after that, they will be applying for solutions, which is just great. This is how we make the state more resilient.
Anybody else have any other questions? I know for those that don't know when St. Patty's Day is, for the Italians, it's March 17th to St. Patty's Day, 2 days before St. Joseph's Day. So in case you want to make sure to put that on your calendar. Rayanne's going to stay on too. So if you don't have a question this minute, of course, her contact information is up there to reach out. And you can also reach out through me as well at any time. But as you know, I was trying to keep Tom quiet so we could have a big surprise intro for him. But Tom Giordano from CompeteRI, who's a fantastic partner in all of our communities. So he's going to kind of talk about what opportunities, he can help bring to you in making your submissions happen. So Tom, I hand this over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Randy, thanks so much. And obviously for the past, almost month now, we've seen that federal funding is in a period of really uncertainty. It's not easy to get funding. It's not clear where this funding is coming from or if it's going to come. BRIC, will be subject to some of that chaos, but it's actually easier to apply this year than it ever has been before, right? For a number of reasons. And the first of which is that we can help provide support for any city or town that wants to do this. We have grant writers on staff. We are a nonprofit, just for anyone who doesn't know or I haven't presented to before. The Partnership for Rhode Island is a nonprofit business coalition. We set up our work around CompeteRI around 3 years ago to help the state apply for federal funding. So a lot of these big wins and some of the big losses, we were the ones who were the grant writer or the convener or did community engagement for. But we have grant writers ready to help you with this, specifically those a couple folks who helped out last year who are really understand what the BRIC process is. We have a great relationship with Rayanne and her team to help do this and help you put pen to paper to bring this money home, right? We don't take a percentage off the top. We're not going to apply to do any of the work. On the back end, this is really a nonpartisan, nonprofit effort to help make sure that we don't send any of this money back to DC, right? That was the dire situation last year. I think, Rayanne, you talked really well about our collaboration last year. I think the part that you may have left out is that we did so in like 10 days or 7 days or 6 days, right? And put all those applications together. We now have more than a month to do this and have the cities and towns be ready. So no matter what stage you're in, if you're updating your hazard mitigation plan or you're going for one of the larger grants, we have capacity to help support this, right? We understand it may not be anyone's, full-time role, right? And know the capacity issues that a lot of cities and towns are dealing with. So use us, literally, right? Email us, email Randy. We can all be in touch and talk about how we can support your grant application to make sure we're getting the most out of BRIC, right? This is near and dear to the senator's heart. That's why him and his fantastic team, right, are engaged in this call, and the governor's also. So, Randy, as you know, right, with other projects you and I have going on right now, actually, right, we are hope to be a really effective tool in the toolbox. So hopefully that we can, like I said, bring the money home to the cities and towns.
Cool, thank you, Tom. Quick question: has anybody reached out thus far from BRIC, or how big of a match do I need to light under people to start asking to have you submit for them?
Well, I'd love to hear from Rayanne if she has any specific ones, but as of right now, yeah, the bigger the match, the better.
Okay, not a problem. We got the torch going over here.
Yeah.
So I know we got a lot of CEOs on here, chief of staffs, CFOs. So, now's the time. Start getting your ideas together. And even if it's just something on the back of an envelope that you're working on now, reach out, to the team, reach out to Tom, reach out to Rayanne, and kind of talk through it, and they'll help build a submission. You don't have to come in with a ready plan. That's what the experts are here for. So, as they've all stated, and I will continue to say, we don't want to turn any money back.
Yeah.
You never know when money's not going to come again. I know the senator is going to fight for it, and the rest of our delegation always. But when it's here right now, let's get it before it goes somewhere else, because it will get reallocated to another state or other area of government. So now's the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rayanne, you can speak to this, right? A lot of folks on the call may be, and Relly and I certainly are, right? Have a lot of experience in very complicated, hundreds of page grant applications. That's not what we're looking at here, right, Rayanne?
No, not
Yeah.
at all. This BRIC application in FEMA Go is very easy to fill out. It's one of the easier applications that I have seen. So it's basic information that you need to let FEMA know what your project is. And that's really the request for more information. They do come, but they're not asking for a lot. So it's not like it's a huge heavy lift. They just want clarification on things. So I feel like our FEMA team that we've been working with has been really great and very much offering to help. How can they help with applications, technical assistance, environmental? So they've been great champions.
Yeah, like I said before, right? A lot of these grant applications, specifically with the new administration in DC, are becoming more and more difficult. This is one that just keeps getting easier, and one that any city or town, no matter your size or shape, especially with added assistance, either from FEMA or from me and my team, we can really help you complete this and before the 17th.
One of the other things that people tend to think, and I think we talked about this the other day, Tom, too, is that this just isn't for coastal communities. Flooding, all of these resiliency items are all 39 cities and towns. So it doesn't matter where you're located, landlocked, whatever it might be. The impact is across the state. So
100%. Thanks,
doesn't
Randy.
know
Thanks
what
for
they're at.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that, right? I think we've seen in North Carolina, you don't have to be a coastal region to have the impacts of flooding. So think about how flooding is impacting you. Think about how the status of your hazard mitigation plan. Let's get to work.
Definitely. Anyone have any questions? Well, we have everybody on. Like I said, I mean, you know, you don't have to feel shy with this group. It's a safe space. But the whole team will be available after, if you're not interested in asking anything right now.
Randy, what type of projects have they funded in the past?
They've definitely generator projects. Like I said, they're flying through right now. Flood studies are very popular. Another community was doing one for water resiliency, which was great. They actually applied last year, and it was such a huge project. It went straight to the national competition, and unfortunately, it didn't get selected. But FEMA came back with this great notes on technical assistance on what they needed to do to create a better application. And they took that information and are going to apply again this year. So just look at your hazard mitigation plans. That's where your answers are. That's where your projects lie. And you need to just open those up and read them and see what's in there and see if you have the local match. I feel like that is probably the biggest obstacle now that the benefit cost analysis is gone for these projects. It's the local match. And last year, another community wanted to do the flood study and they just didn't have the match for that. And that was hard. So if you can find a way to add a budget line, and I know those are tight, but add a budget line and keep adding to it for your local matches, that would be great.
Thanks.
So kind of off of that, Rand, what is the local match?
Depends on the project. That would be generally, besides COVID was a 90-10 match. And I hope we never see that again. As great as that match was, I hope we never have to go through that again. But 75-25 is generally the allocations.
And one other thing off of that was the generators. When you say generators, for all systems, whether or not it's sewer plant, water, DPW facility, whatever it is there a limit on the focus of the generators?
There's not a limit. The focus is your critical facilities. That's what's important. You can't just run around putting them anywhere. It's your critical facilities, your fire stations, your EOCs, your warming and heating centers.
Perfect. It might also be the time to reconsider where those, you know, fallout shelters are, or whatever whatever the term might be, to kind of reallocate putting those generators in, whether or not it's your senior center that you open up in the time of, you know, power losses, things like that. That might be the time to be able to get a generator for your senior center, to be able to open up in those times. So just some other ideas, you know, for the communities. Anybody else have any questions? I'm glad. Thank you, Dan, for speaking up.
Randy, it's Andy. Just a quick one. First of all, thanks for the clarification on the date for St. Patrick's Day. I don't know anything about that day as a Rhode Island Italian, so I appreciate that. Secondly, Rayanne, how about regional? How about joint applications? Is that allowable under this program?
Absolutely. FEMA encourages it. So if you want to get with your neighbors and come up with a solution, if it's a flooding issue that's hitting a lot of communities, yes, definitely allowable and encouraged.
Yeah, I know that point's been raised before with our EMA team in the state, and knowing that Rhode Island is such a small state and we're a dense population, proximity is very close. Typically a flooding problem very rarely just affects one community. So I'm hoping that at some point that there's a more of a broader perspective in Rhode Island in terms of groupings. Maybe they're within the counties or within our Rhode Island counties, like a South County, which doesn't exist, but we'll, you know, piece it together in terms of Kent and others, to be able to try to leverage that nationally so that we can start to make some headway on some of our culvert enlargements, some of our shoreline issues, as well as some of our inland flooding issues. But thank you for that information.
Well, and you may recall, and many of you may recall, almost 2 years ago now, we applied for Safe Streets for All as a state, when 31 cities and towns filling out that application in a singular application sent through RIPTA to USDOT, which we were told from USDOT was one of the easiest yeses of the year because that was such a competitive program, right? Collaboration is always a sign of competitiveness, right? So I love the collaboration idea. Let's try to do as many as we can.
Kind of one thing off of it, does that also help in the match? Does that, do you get bonus points, say maybe it's an 80-20 instead because it's a collaboration?
Not really, but you get to split it around the communities, right? So
True. I was trying to get every extra percent for our community, so I had to ask. But of course, and I agree. The scoring always is more beneficial when they're rating the proposals based on the collaboration. And I will be more than happy to help any of our communities that want to work together and help bring those things together too. So don't we're always here too.
Hey, Randy, it's Mark. Thanks for having us on today. And, everybody knows Rayanne, and she just does a super great job, and so does Tom. We will, if asked, come out to a community and talk to the community one-on-one. We'll do concierge. So we'll also do, as Andy brought up, if he and his partners want to do a collaborative project together, we'll come out and meet with everybody, and we'll talk through how to do that. Really, no excuse now, given what Rayanne's laid out and the easement of the benefit cost analysis, all of those things. Like, we know where these places are that flood constantly, and these flood events are not going to get any less, and they're going to continue to happen. So, if you want to do something about it, this is your opportunity to start the process and make it happen, so you don't have to keep going through this all the time. We've done it for other communities. We've gone out to cities and towns, met with them one-on-one, kind of walked them through the process of what it takes to do it. And we're happy to do it again, but just ask everybody to look internally and don't let these opportunities go away. I also want to thank all the folks from Senator Reed's office, who we literally talk to on a weekly basis on how we can get the message out to cities and towns to do this. So I want to thank all the folks and the senator for all of his support. So thanks, Randy.
Thank you, Director. That is fantastic. And in any way that concierge service is always welcome. And you guys are always a great partner to all of our communities. And I thank you and your whole team, sir. Anyone else have any questions, comments? Just want to make sure I give everybody their day back too.
Randy, I just wanted to mention, while I have everybody here, is that I still have disaster money available too. So I know I'm throwing a lot at you with BRIC, and that money is available, but I also have disaster money available. And FEMA creates a website of all of their successful projects. And it's just a really great resource if you just want to jump on there and see what other communities are doing. They are doing very large projects, doing culverts and replacements and things like that. So if you get an opportunity and you want to do other projects, see what other states are doing. Jump on FEMA's website, see what their success stories are, see the components that they brought in, the partnerships, and it'll really give you a good idea of what you can do for your community.
Rayanne, can you send the link out so Randy can get it to everybody?
Absolutely, I can.
Awesome. Thank you.
Rayanne, can you just give us a sense of order of magnitude about dollars in the disaster money that's available?
So right now we have, sorry, I gotta look at my cheat sheet. So for the December storm last year, we had just under, or just over $1 million. And for the January storm, we had 3.8 million available. So
quick question, and that's wonderful news. What can that money be applied to? I mean, we saw a lot. So we're trying to work on a phase 2 shoreline stabilization project that we're going to be short on funding. And it was really impacted by those storms recently. Would that be applicable towards something like that?
absolutely, yes.
All right. Okay. That's good to know, because we've got a lot of, we're in the, I think, permitting phase right now, but funding wise, I think we're going to be a little short. And it's good to know that money's out there. Thank you.
Mayor De Silva literally heard the commas and how much money was available and piped up very, very quickly.
First, and then, by the way, I apologize for not saying this earlier. I want to thank Randy and the team at the league, and also Mark Pappas and Rayanne for putting this together. And Tom, I know you're a great partner for all municipalities. People should take advantage of what you offer for any of those people on there who haven't had the opportunity to meet with Tom in person, I mean, it's like multiplying your planning department by X number of people that will apply for grants on your behalf. So if you haven't taken advantage of that, please do so. And once again, thank you to Mark Pappas and Rayanne and Randy and the whole team for putting this together.
Thank you, Mayor. Very kind.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anybody have anything else? All right, well, thank you all for joining today. Make sure you guys always stay tuned to what our Workshop Wednesdays have going on over the next every week. Dr. Slattery will be sending those items out too. So as we go, and all the information that we get in from today, we will circulate to the whole group as well with the links. Thank you to the Rhode Island EMA Director, Rayanne, Tom and his team, Senator Reed's office and his entire team. Thank you all for joining us, and Governor McKee and his team, and thank you all for the continued support. And I wish everybody a great rest of your day.